Hey everyone, today's topic is something that many of you have requested, and that is, what is CBT therapy? So stay tuned. So like I said, today's topic is what is CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy, and how do therapists use it, and why do I talk about it all the time? Now, CBT therapy, which I'll keep calling it from now on because cognitive behavior, that's just way too much to say. So CBT therapy is a very different type of therapy because it is short-term and it is one of the only therapies that we can actually monitor and kind of statistically show that people are improving. Most therapies don't work quite so, I don't even know what the word I want to use, but they're not quite as direct and not so A plus B equals C. You know, most therapies are very circular, and maybe we feel this way, and I don't know, what's your relationship with your mother and your father, right? We might go back into our history, whereas CBT believes, the main belief behind CBT, and I'm checking my notes to make sure I say it correctly, is that it isn't so much what happens to us in our life, but how we think about what has happened to us. So in a CBT world, it wouldn't just be that, let's say my dad wasn't around when I was young and he left and he never came back. It wouldn't be that that happened. That's not what's actually affecting me. It'd be my thoughts about it. Like, I'm not worthy, he didn't care about me, he didn't value our family, or whatever it might be, right? CBT focuses on those beliefs. And because of that, some of the main things that we use are things that I actually use a lot with my clients, and what they call it, and I'm checking, these are my, do you remember my huge flashcard mayhemness? These are my CBT flashcards. So that's what my notes are. So one of the things that I use a lot is called, in the CBT world, they call it thought tracking. And that is almost what I want to call that eating disorder voice or self-harm voice versus healthy voice. And what they do in the thought tracking is they have you keep record of all of those automatic thoughts. Automatic thoughts being, my dad had left, but it's not just because my dad left. My automatic thought is, I'm not worthy, I'm not important, he doesn't value our family, all of that follows. So for many of us, it might be, I deserve to be punished, or I don't deserve to eat that, or whatever it might be that feeds into our eating disorder, our self-harm, or anxiety, or depression. So in CBT, they have you keep track of it. They have you keep this thought tracking record so that we can notice what usually are unnoticed thoughts. Okay? Now there are a ton of tools when it comes to CBT. I mean, we have 3 flashcards here on tools, but I'm just going to give you a couple that I end up using most, and that's why I thought thought tracking would be the most helpful. Now, another thing that we can do is obviously, and there's a lot in here, like as I'm looking through this just to make sure I don't miss anything, they have automatic thoughts. So those are the ones that happen, without us being aware, and then you keep track of it in the thought tracking. And then they have underlying assumption, which are kind of things that I will have people, when we realize that automatic thought, I'm angry, I'm not worth it, or whatever it might be, we want to find what's the underlying assumption. So we might ask what we call downward arrow questioning. And I know this is getting really intense, but I'm trying to break it down to very easy to understand portions. So if my automatic thought is, I'm not worth it, or they forgot about me, or whatever, right? Then I'd say, so what does that mean to you? And then you would say that they didn't consider it, and that my dad left, right? So it would mean that he just left and he didn't care. So what does it mean if he didn't care? Well, then, that I'm a bad person, right? And we'll keep asking, so then what does that mean to you if that's true? Because a lot of our automatic thoughts we actually believe are true. And that's why CBT can be so powerful, because a lot of times we're just not aware of all these thoughts that we have all day, every day. And these thoughts can really stir us up. We can get really angry, we can get really sad, we can get really anxious, and we can get really depressed. But bringing this to the forefront and recognizing what those automatic thoughts are, and then doing that downward arrow questioning where we're like, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, if that is true, then what does that mean to you? And you can work this down until you can figure out what that core belief is, which could be anything from I'm worthless to I'll never be good enough to my mom will always favor my brother. Whatever that thought may be, you can see how once we can recognize what those automatic thoughts are, we can get to that point. And that's what makes it so powerful. And so there are a ton of tools around CBT to help with that. So I'm going to skip ahead and I'm not going to go through each and every one of the tools that helps with that, but you may notice them if you're working with your therapist who is a CBT therapist. Now another portion, along with the automatic thought records and that all of that kind of stuff, is thought stopping. So let's say we're having all these automatic thoughts, okay? I get up in the morning and I automatically think, oh, I overslept by 20 minutes. I'm so lazy. I'm so stupid. I'm so fat. I'm so dumb. I'm so whatever, right? We might have that running right away. So in CBT, they have us do what they call thought stopping. Now, we're supposed to actually, and it's funny, but there's a couple things we can do. Some people will prefer to actually verbally say, stop. Stop it. You tell yourself to stop, right? Some of my clients like to visualize they're driving really fast towards a stop sign and they can't go any farther. It's like a cement wall with a stop sign. Whatever helps you to stop. For me, if it was me, if I have all these automatic thoughts coming up, it would help me to actually verbalize it, because sometimes what's going on in our brain is so noisy that we can't even, visualizing may not help. The actual verbalization out loud can help. Obviously, we don't do that if we're in the middle of a, fancy dinner or we're out at a party, but you can get the idea. So that's another thing that we'll have you do. And CBT and DBT also are very closely linked, and you'll see some of the tools that I've talked about in my DBT mindfulness video. And I'll do other videos, and there'll be a lot of it in my self-harm workbook, but you'll see a lot of it kind of joins together. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to get into that because that will get really convoluted. So those are the main components to CBT. We want to bring awareness to the thoughts that we have every day, whether they be automatic, whether they are the same message over and over. We want to figure out what the underlying core belief is as we do that downward arrow questioning. And then we also want to be able to thought stop. So when they come in quickly, we want to be able to stop them. Because if I go back to the original portion of CBT, the whole reason that we have it is because they believe that our life and our experience isn't what happens to us, it's what we think about what happens to us. And so that's really why in a lot of the things that I will tell you, if you've asked questions and I've done videos about it, is talking back to that negative voice. And that's kind of that thought record and thought stopping all in one. So you can see how it can be really powerful. And most of you, if you're in the UK or if you're in many portions of Europe, I know that they utilize CBT first, and they'll have you do it, and you'll notice that's usually short term. It'll be anywhere from, I believe, 6 to 10 sessions, usually 8 to 10, I want to say, is about when you end up stopping. But they can have you do also some role playing and things. You can get into it so that you can start verbalizing those thoughts, and you can start changing them and turning them into kind of more positive or healthy voice, right? And I think that's really it. I'm trying to double check to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And I've talked about this before, but they also discuss a lot about catastrophizing or jumping to conclusions. Like, because we have these big negative thoughts, we'll catastrophize. That black and white thinking that I talk about a lot, it's something that they also address in CBT because it's our thoughts, right? We're catastrophizing, we're thinking black and white. And those are some of the things that the cognitive distortions, they call them, that we'll try to turn around and to make healthy thoughts. So I hope that makes it kind of clear. And many of you can Google CBT and you can look up a lot of information on it. But that is how I utilize it in my practice and how you will most likely find it utilized in people that you see. And that is really the reason that it's most helpful is because it's all about our thoughts, right? And we have to change our thoughts in order to change our behavior and our belief about ourselves. So I hope you found that useful. Keep checking back. Make sure to like this video if you want more topics about like basic I guess, counseling theory and ways that we give therapy. I'm happy to do more. So you can let me know in the comments if there are other therapies you want me to talk about, because I have to study for my exams anyway, so I might as well teach it to you too. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because when I put out videos, you're going to want to know. Okay, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon.